Hello and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at The Crow. Dimension Films was owned under Walt Disney Studios in the 90s and the early 2000s. I wanted to include this on our list because this is one of my favorites, but this is also a very, very important controversial film to discuss. So let's talk about The Crow. The Crow was released in 1994. And it stars the late great Brendan Lee, who was the son of Bruce Lee, a very famous martial artist. And unfortunately, this is where the controversy comes in, Brendan Lee was shot by mistake during filming. I knew that he passed away, but I never realized that he was literally killed on set until recently as I was doing more research on it. And it makes it so much more like, it makes it so much more heavier to watch, and I do feel a little bit strange watching it and enjoying it, but at the same time it's still such an important movie. And it's based on a comic series by James O'Barr, who also worked on the script on this film. And there are continuous Crow films later after this one, but with a replaced actor, and I just wanted to focus on this one because this is such a classic film. And it's a little bit of a conspiracy too, because apparently Bruce Lee knew it was coming. There's been interviews where Bruce Lee said that he had dreams about his son dying, and it's really weird and a little morbid to think about.
What would you do? I mean, first of all, would you tell anyone? You know? Because you got to think, like, you've got people you left behind, right? But I mean, they've had a year now to cope with it, right? They've had a year to deal with having lost you. They've had their grief. We hope they've gone on in some way. You know, they've found a place to keep that and hold it. And now you're back for 2 days. But I mean, tell me, you could sit someplace and, you know, you just want to pick up the phone. So I thought about it, and I thought about it for a long time.
It definitely is a little bit of a conspiracy, so it makes things interesting, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how legitly amazing this movie turned out, even though behind the scenes it was terrifying. There were reports of a lot of drug use on set, as well as we have someone dying on set, and they tried to make a quote-unquote $30 million film with $18 million. So they did a lot of cutting corners and sacrificing, but it's a really, really gritty film and a really gritty tale, but still amazing. And it's an honor to watch it and to really enjoy. Even though it's really morbid to enjoy, I still really admire the character and I really admire the story. It's about a man who got murdered along with his fiance on Devil's Night. I know it as Mischief Night. Mischief Night is October 30th, the night before Halloween. And even though it takes place around Halloween and it is a Halloween type of film, I can't see it as a Halloween film. To me, it's just a normal film. And even though it takes place on Devil's Night before Halloween, it's still just a normal film to me. It reminds me a lot of Repo.
Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial? A little glass vial.
And how Repo is just a gothic masterpiece. This is also just a gothic masterpiece. And 1 year after their death, after being killed by a gang, Eric Draven ends up rising all of his grave and is alive for one night to seek revenge on the people that killed him and his fiance.
But sometimes, just sometimes, the Crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
And he has to track them down one by one, but he has the help of his crows to be an extra eye and to give him supernatural powers, and is able to get karma back in a sense and one by one kill everyone. And it's obviously it's a very R-rated film because it's very violent and has a lot of action in there, but it still is so important to watch, and I just really admire how it turned out. even though it's super serious and super dark and super gritty. I really love this type of things. The fact that you know the troubles they had behind the scenes adds such a heavier setting onto watching it and really appreciating what happened more and not taking anything for granted. And it really sets the story in stone, especially when they're talking about how they miss him and how he's gone. And I'm just sitting there being like, this actually happened and I feel terrible, but at the same time, you can imagine how they felt. And it just is, it's a weird complex where I want to enjoy it. I do enjoy it, but then I feel terrible for enjoying it. But it's still great. It's still a really, really great film story-wise, and the effects are fantastic, and everything is just amazing. And the best way I could describe The Crow is he's like this goth Jesus that comes back and wants to do right and help the ones that helped him in when he was alive, and then get rid of the ones that wronged him when he was alive. And as a character, I just really, really admire the Crow as a character, especially when it's Halloween and I see people dressed as a crow. I dressed as a crow beforehand. There's a picture of me as a crow. And it's just something I admire, so I like knowing that it was under Disney and it's a technical Disney property, and that makes me really happy. So I just wanted to share one of my favorites with you guys. And if you do like gritty, dark films that have goth Jesuses in them, definitely check this one out. Tomorrow we're gonna take a look at The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So we're back on track with Disney films again, strict Disney films. So you can stay tuned, and as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.